At how to use CloudOn with Microsoft Excel to do a trend line and do data analysis. First thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and hit our Create button, which is found right here, and go ahead and choose Microsoft Excel. Since we're looking at data, we'll go ahead and call it Data Example. You can name it whatever you want to name it. Then go ahead and hit New. It takes a moment for it to load because CloudOn uses live internet connection. So once Excel loads, we're going to go ahead and just get familiar. It's just like the normal version of Microsoft Excel. You can see all the options up here at the top, but we're going to go ahead and start entering our data that we've collected from our experiment. So if you go ahead, the directions say to choose in cell A1, and it says to label your independent variable. So I'm going to go ahead and label this X, and then I'll just enter some generic values. So 2, 3, 5, 7. Then we'll go to B2, and we'll label this our dependent variable, which I'll call Y, and then we'll just make up some fictitious values to use here. The next step is actually creating a chart for the data that we've collected in our experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that data. The way that I do that is I select in cell A1, then I hold my finger down until my magnifying eyepiece comes up, and I select my data. Then I'm going to go up here to the top in my menu options, and I'm going to choose Insert. So go ahead and click on Insert, and then you've got a lot of different options here, but we're looking to plot, to create a statistical plot of the data that I have selected. So we're going to choose Charts, and you've got a lot of different charts you can choose from: column, line, pie, bar, area, scatter, and other charts. We want a scatter plot, so we're going to go ahead and choose that option. And the one that we want is the one that just plots out the points. We don't want to connect the lines because we're going to go ahead and put in our own trend line. So go ahead and choose the first option there. And then we get a statistical plot of the data. The nice thing about it is when it's automatically chosen, you have all your chart menu options available. But if you click out of the chart, you lose those options. So to get those back, just double click on the chart. Then a dialog box will come up that says Format Chart Area. You can go ahead and close that. And then you again have your menu options for your chart. So what we're going to do is just go through these menu options. You have chart styles, which you can change the style of the chart, which is a quick way to do it. You can change the chart type, which just makes it look differently. You have backgrounds. The first one we'll look at is labels, because we can actually change the labels. We can change the chart title. It already has a title, but you can do other ways to do the title. Right now we have a title above the chart, and it's titled Y. It will by default title it by the dependent variable. We can center it, do a center overlay, or you can have no title at all. Since we already have a title, we can just go ahead and select that title and just click within that text box, and then you can change the title to, I'll just call it Data Example or Data Sample. Go ahead and spell it right. And then the next thing we can do is change the other labels, and maybe you want to put labels on the axes. So we can do the primary horizontal axis title, and I can do the title below the axis, and go ahead and select in that text box, and we'll name it the independent variable, which might be, it could be temperature. And you would probably want to label the units, and I'll just put Fahrenheit. And then on the y-axis, we can again change the labels there. Go back to labels, axis titles, and go to primary vertical axis. There's a lot of options here. I'm just going to do a horizontal title, but you can get really cute with how you can do the titles on the y-axis. You can have it go up and down, but I'm just going to do a horizontal title. And I will call this, maybe this here is pressure, and maybe that's measured in atmospheres, ATMs, and I'll put parentheses around it. And so now we have our titles. Again, I selected out of the chart. I lost my chart option, so I'll just double click back on the chart again to get those options. Come back up, close this dialog box because I'm not going to really use any of that. And then the last thing we're going to do here is do our trend line, and this is where you use the analysis tools. So you go under analysis, and our directions say to go to trend line. You have the trend line options here, and they'll automatically put them in, but we actually want to choose more trend line options, which is at the bottom, because then we can actually set some things up a little bit more specifically. So I've got linear, and this could change based on the data set that you have. I'm going to go ahead, and down here at the bottom you've got some other options that are really important for the class that you're using this for. You can set the y-intercept if you need to set that at 0, but most importantly you need to display the equation on the chart. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one and go ahead and close, and after I hit close it will display your equation. And so then if I want to move that equation, it's kind of tricky to move it, but you just have to select just right, and then you can pull the equation around, and there it is. And that's how you do a trend line using Microsoft Excel.